Hello and welcome to BW London podcast. The Will Smith Oscar parade continues. It's all over YouTube. People are clearly, in majority, discussing it as if this was a real event. This is what happened. No conspiracy here. Visor, the sponsor of the Oscar, is launching their new alopecia product in 2023. If anybody knows, you know that deep marketing is done this way. They stage events, they use things to plant things in your head. Sometimes they name random objects by the name of the item just to engage conversation. They did that back in the day when pork sales went down. They started to name random things bacon because those who sold pork invested into different companies and televised companies at really high rates and other organizations to get the word and to get it into people's subconscious and psyche. I mean, this is what they do. This is a practice of old. So yeah, we have it. The sponsor of Oscar being, having an alopecia product. We have this staged event, and it is so staged. It is crazy to me. I've met up with friends, and they're like, they want to talk about this. They want to talk about it as a real event. So I'm like, okay, so we're gonna discuss this as if this really happened, so we can do the dynamics of the man, the woman, and the disrespect of Jada. And okay, fine. But Jada's disrespect, that was the cue, the cue to actually get this thing going. That's when, but Will Smith didn't catch on. That's why he was giggling and laughing. And the camera, we don't then see what happens next, do we? We just see Will Smith go into full role play, hit the stage, return. We can't keep the camera because they messed up a little bit there, but we'll let that go. Not to mention that this is humiliation ritual. It's based on a sexual ritual of old from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, when Chris Rock and Will Smith in plain sight showed us what was going on behind closed doors, and how they were making their fortunes. And Jada apparently also got with Chris Rock. That's something I've heard new, but at least with this one, we actually we see it. There we have it. So we've got that. We've got that lovely bit of evidence there. And then we've got the fact that the Oscars, it's been depleting in the last few years by more than 50%. There's teenagers right now that have either heard the name vaguely, the Oscars, or never heard of it at all. But I bet you they know now. So it's been, a really good marketing campaign. Yet still, no, as a majority, we want to talk about it as a real event. Not frustrated by that at all. No, I'm not frustrated by that. All the YouTube's just taken over by these actual discussions. I mean, really intelligent people discussing this as if it was a real event. But then the conversation's getting deeper now because it's actually being played back on black people and black men and the black male image and all sorts, because is this who Will Smith really is? And I look at this and I think, my goodness, this has happened to so many black men. They use them in Hollywood this way for these type of humiliation rituals, especially at the top of their career. I mean, Martin Lawrence, he was a good example. I mean, what that was that ended up on the boulevard that night with a pistol I think it was in the 90s, where he was, screaming about the establishment and he had to be hospitalized. But, that was a weird event in itself, and that's something he's had to recover from. I mean, Dave Chappelle ran off to a whole Africa. He went on Oprah expressing his conspiracies, and then he kind of disappeared. And the man who's returned, I mean, it makes no sense to me, Dave Chappelle's return. Some of the comedy, the stand-up when he first came back, it was, fantastic. But kicking back and looking at him playing out, is that even Dave Chappelle? Who knows? I've heard talk of his wife saying he returned to her very oddly, and then after her questioning that, she returned oddly. It's all hearsay, but, but in terms of the black male image, Richard Pryor, back in the day, if you want to go far back, his whole set himself on fire. That whole thing with his drugs and so on. The story sounds plausible, but again, they just seem to have this possession, like Martin Lawrence, that whatever oaths they've taken and maybe their rebellion towards it, but they always undergo this horrible humiliation as part of their career and doing something really traumatic, and it does seem demonically linked. Really out of character. Putting yourself with a gallon of fuel and lighting yourself on fire, that's quite something. R. Kelly, who withstood the test of time musically throughout his whole career and have been dropping subliminals with a bag of enablers, actual established enablers. But suddenly, bam, they've taken him out. Same with Bill Cosby. These black men who have got, really from the outside supported and integral careers, and they just get shut down. I mean, Will Smith has a really integral career, and just like that, in less than 20 seconds, Kevin Hart, his affair, cameras were on the walls or illegally placed. I mean, these stories are outrageous. But again, a man at the height of his career, and he's never been respected since. His comedy's never even been at the same level since. Is it because they rebel, or is it just a part of the oath that they took? And specifically black men have to be taken down in this humiliating way? Eddie Murphy, found on the boulevard with a transsexual. I mean, that played a big part of his career taking a somewhat of a turn. After Nutty Professor, he was kind of on the down, and then we had that episode. So, there's many, many more. But that's what I'm getting from this. And I'm not getting to have these conversations because everyone wants to talk about, Jada disrespecting her man and so on. So, see, I'm all for having these conversations because they are real conversations. If you're looking at it as they want us to see it. The story that plays out, the disrespect of Jada, her relationship with Tupac, how she's treated Will, how Will appears all simpish, and hitting somebody in public is never okay just based on a remark. These are all real conversations to be had, so I see why people are having them. And I can't expect everybody to be like, oh my God, it's the Illuminati. But, I understand that. So that is why I submit and can have these conversations when needed. But it's hard because there's a realer thing being played out here. These people are puppets. None of this is real. I mean, I guess we can have these conversations because I did over the weekend. I just chose to submit to discussing it as a real event because nobody really wanted to discuss it as I saw it. I mean, they did somewhat, but, it's so much deeper. And I would rather talk about it this way. But, I'm sick of talking about it as the lie that it is. My work industry, for example, I was going through my social medias and people have actually posted this story. And it's come, these are CEOs and everything. I can't believe that a black man would do this after doing so well, and this isn't good for our image and certain else. And I can't. I can't. I just, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I'm making sense, but either way, thank you for listening if you got this far. Thanks for listening.
Video has emerged showing Will Smith's skill at fake slapping.
There you go.
The video was taken last November at a King Richard screening in Los Angeles. A young fan asked the movie star how he learned to fake hit, just like in the movies. He was happy to demonstrate.
I'll just go. There you go. And then you just put it in the scene. And so I need you to say, man, where's my money?
Man, where's my money?
Right.